Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to check out something that I probably should have got to a lot sooner. This is going to be the Iliad from Overly Sarcastic Productions. I have already seen the Aeneid, I have already seen the Odyssey, and I thought I had seen the Iliad. Nope, I had seen the Trojan War video, which is a very small excerpt specifically about the war itself that all of these books were built around, and I never saw this one, even though it's literally one of the oldest videos on OSP's channel, so... yeah, I got no excuse here. I'm just dropping the ball on this one. Otherwise, you guys know the deal. Link below, original video, hit it up. And also a link to a clean version of this because apparently, according to the notes, people are using Overly Sarcastic Productions videos as teaching aids in schools. Does this kind of being schooled by OSP? Let's go with yes because it's more funny to me that way. I'm okay with that. Again, link below, hit it up. Let's get started.
The Iliad is one monster of a book. It's more than 600 pages long and the...
Wait, how many? I can't have heard that right. 600?
The Iliad is one monster of a book.
600 pages!
600 pages long and the...
I know very few books now that go that long. Usually they're written by Brandon Sanderson because his small book size is a couple 100,000 words. But still, that's 600 pages at a time where I have no idea how they transport it, if it was papyrus or some other method. And papyrus is a bitch to create.
Crazy part
That's
was
actually
it used to
impressive.
be passed down through oral tradition, meaning it was someone's job.
This was oral. I can't memorize 5 lines. Multiple people for generations memorized 600 pages of this story. The fact that it is this intact is actually impressive. Now I wonder if she'll touch on the fact that there would have been some form of telephone. Ooh, are there other versions of this around?
Job to memorize the damn thing and regurgitate it into the willing ears of whoever was listening. On top of that, if I had to guess how many
Probably
named
religious
characters were
service
in
at
it,
that
I'd
point.
put the number somewhere between 200 and too many. Luckily for us, though, there's only a few characters we actually need to care about. On the Trojan side, those are Hector, Paris, and Helen. And on the Greek side, we've got Achilles, Patroclus, Odysseus, Agamemnon...
Oh my god. She did a lot more chibi work here. The heads are way bigger, but also she went to town on making him look like Solid Snake. Damn.
Odysseus, Agamemnon,
I heard this is one of the first videos she did.
Diomedes, Ajax the Greater, and
like,
Ajax
with
the Lesser,
actual
along with a few
art
others.
like this,
Now,
but she
back
couldn't
in
find the
day,
right
Troy
video
was called
clips.
Ilias, which is why the book is called the Iliad. Translated literally, it'd be called Troy Story.
You got a friend.
Seriously? That's actually the translation. I know the joke she's making, but also at the same time. Wow. Oh god, wait, it actually fits. Does that make Odysseus Rex?
Yeah.
A brief side note, esteemed viewers. It may have come to your attention that the standard movie clip format in... yeah, this is one of the first one. In the introduction has been replaced with more anime-esque chibis. This change will persist for the rest of the review. Because prior to this, she did a lot of work with movie clips to just splice together into standard review format, which is still popular on YouTube, but this is what really... this is the episode that changed everything, isn't it? Which went from just being a review of History Channel to Overly Sarcastic Productions' entire ethos of anime-esque style of drawing and art that's so, well, distinctive. Dude! This is basically the establishing video. For this reason is simple, there was only one movie version of the Iliad I could find. A little number called Troy. Wait, there's only one? You know, I was kind of expecting at this point we'd have a lot, but I guess not. And Troy is awful? I've never been to the city myself, so I can't... oh, they meant the movie. I would have taken longer to edit it into a passable version of the Iliad than it would have been to make the actual video. Was that one of those early 90s Brad Pitt movies? I have no idea if he's a good actor or not. I don't actually know. Have I seen movies with him in it? I'm pulling a blank on this one.
Years into the Trojan War, when
Meanwhile,
Agamemnon makes the dumbest decision of his life and pisses off Achilles, the most powerful warrior in his entire army.
that counts as the dumbest decision? That counts as the dumbest decision? I mean, sacrificing your wife so when, or not wife, your daughter so when you get home, your wife kills you and, you know, it's justified. That might have been a dumb one because it guarantees you win, you still lose. The only win here is actually probably pissing off Agamemnon. No, sorry. No, pissing off Agamemnon is still a bad option, but pissing off your strongest warrior is a bad one because then you survive longer by not winning. Yeah.
Basically, Agamemnon had taken this girl Chryseis prisoner, and her father, a priest of Apollo, came to try and get her back. He offered Agamemnon untold riches or whatever, which Agamemnon turned down on the principle of being an asshole. So predictably enough, this powerful and desperate priest of Apollo prayed to the god in question, who gladly started raining
I got you, bro. Oh my god. This is such an old style, too. It's still the same color she uses, but it's not nearly as distinct as later.
down plagues upon the Greek army. Agamemnon is somehow surprised that pissing off the super powerful deity could go so badly for him, but still refuses to return the girl.
Maybe you should give her back. No, I do what I want. Oh my god, he's so stupid, but it makes perfect sense to his character. That's the one thing every version I've ever seen depicting Agamemnon has exactly the same. Self-defeating asshole.
Until Achilles starts verbally slapping him around, to the point that Athena has to physically come down and stop him from straight up murdering his commanding officer.
I mean, admittedly, it probably would have been better for everyone if he had died. I have an opinion about this guy.
By the way, you may have noticed that there seem to be an awful lot of gods in this story.
Yeah.
No, you ain't seen nothing yet. So Agamemnon finally agrees to return the girl to her father, but there's one condition. Achilles will, in exchange, have to give Agamemnon his chosen lady toy, a gorgeous lass named Briseis. Achilles, though thoroughly bummed, does the smart thing and gives her up. Then he does the not smart thing and refuses to fight. He curls up into a sulky blanket burrito in his tent and refuses to come out for anything. Now, Achilles is...
Which is weird, because I thought he was a gay lover for another guy who was about to die. I guess he was bi then. Okay, that makes sense.
By far the most powerful Greek warrior among them, later myths even painting him as invincible. So this is a pretty hefty
Nearly
loss for the Greek
invincible.
forces. Achilles then proceeds to make things even worse for them by praying to his mom, a minor goddess named Thetis, to get Zeus to help the Trojans.
wait, she was a goddess?
That's right.
Oh.
He's so pissed at Agamemnon that he's willing to make them lose the war out of spite. Of course, since I also hate Agamemnon, this doesn't really bother me all that much, but still.
I mean, anyone who's actually known anything about his history, you should probably just go with it. There's a reason why the Atreides in Dune were said to be the sons and daughters of Agamemnon. Because they were named for an asshole narrative reason initially, to show, hey, maybe we're not the good guys after all. But then it was later picked up by Brian Herbert and turned into, well, you also have this asshole. Well, no, actually, no, that was in the original one where he's mentioned as having the ancestor named Agamemnon. Although they were hinting that it was actual Agamemnon as opposed to this one where it's robot war brain in a jar who called himself Agamemnon because he's a grandstanding asshole. Admittedly, he chose the right name for himself. So yeah, the name sucks. And the people who choose it also suck. Just one of those things in literature that carried through.
Well, not cool, bro. Book 2. So,
Oh,
Zeus, as we all know, likes
books.
nothing better than
Oh.
screwing with mortals, so he's
Yeah.
all for this plan.
You know, considering it's Zeus, that's probably more literal than any other god that does that. For him, there's a lot of demigods. Let's put it that way.
He sends a dream to Agamemnon urging
Bro.
him to attack Troy full force and promising him victory. So Agamemnon's like, great idea.
Well, he
Nothing bad has
eventually
ever
got
come
it.
From me listening to the gods. And then Hector hears a similar message from Zeus and immediately marshals his forces to attack. Book 3 is a list. It's just a
drama?
list.
Wait,
the person
really?
rattling off the list is Helen,
Wait, Helen is rattling off. Let's see. Achilles, Odysseus, my red husband, his asshole brother.
who punctuates her description of the Greeks with a lot of self-loathing commentary. But wait, this book actually has some action. Shock, I know.
My God.
Menelaus, Helen's real husband, challenges Paris, Helen's current husband, to a duel. Paris is all
Yeah.
for this plan, but there's just one problem.
He
Paris
can't fight?
is a total wimp. Menelaus kicks his ass, but before he can kill him and solve the war for good, Aphrodite decides to intervene and whisk Paris off the battlefield and off to Helen's chambers. Helen's like, God damn it, Aphrodite, what do you want? And Aphrodite's like, now kiss! Side note, that
Leave me alone, I hate you. But you're so pretty. Yeah, I do like the interpretations of Helen that Red has talked about otherwise that were weird, honestly. Apparently there's a version where she ran off into Egypt. And yeah, that was a thing. Also, I think there was also a version that had Athena. No, not Athena, was it? Yeah, it was. No. It was Aphrodite who came from Egypt. For some of them, it may or may not have been Isis, but then there was other gods that were around that area that just, yeah. Considering how long this was an oral tradition, I wonder if some of those other versions were the other people saying, like, I like the story, but I can make it better. Let's go to a different continent. Yeah. I kind of wish, if she retouched this on the alternate versions of the Trojan Iliad lore, I would love that right now. Unless it's in this video. It could be awesome.
Interaction pretty much summarizes the entire dynamic between Paris, Helen, and Aphrodite. The story's a little more complicated than this, but basically, Aphrodite promised Paris the hand of the most beautiful woman in the world in exchange for a golden apple.
Yeah.
Specifically, the golden apple of discord, crafted by Ares, goddess of discord, who was pissed after not getting invited to a wedding. The other two contenders for the golden apple were Athena and Hera, who you'd think would have better things to do. He accepted.
I mean, usually when any of the gods are doing something, it's not better. It's all downhill from here. This just happened to be really bad.
And Aphrodite held up her end of the bargain by kidnapping Helen from her comfortable life as Menelaus' wife and delivering her to Paris, although some versions involve Paris kidnapping her himself. So basically, at this point...
Admittedly, I usually don't believe or like those versions because Paris is kind of depicted as an absolute wimp, and him actually kidnapping Helen is way more agency that he shows at any other time. Yeah.
And Aphrodite has done nothing but mess up Helen's life, and the whole war is also kind of her fault, so it's no surprise that nobody in the story really likes her that much. Anyway, back to the actual plot. So back on the battlefield, Menelaus is an unholy degree of pissed, riding in circles, frothing at the mouth, yelling, "Come back here and die like a man!"
running around with the ox
So then in Book 4, the gods discuss what to do and decide that...
Oh, is this the first time she drew all the gods? Oh, dude, I think this might actually be it. So we got Zeus, whose style is still a little blue, but more gray. That would be Athena, Hera. No. Were there previous? No, there's no comments on that. Is this actually the first time? Because I think it might be, because it's the one where she switched over and didn't use the intro in the actual clips. But there were clips she saw, and I thought I recognized from other places. Unless I saw these clips in other places from this episode, which is entirely possible. And she didn't draw feet on a lot of them. And... I keep saying Bacchus, but it's Dionysus just drunk on the floor. Jeez. I recognize so many of the styles, but also you can see how they change so much. Dude.
That abject chaos is way more fun than peaceful resolution, so Athena pops down into the Trojan ranks and Double Dog dares an archer to shoot at Menelaus. The arrow whiffs, the temporary truce between the two armies immediately dissolves, and they all go back to wailing on each other. So Book 5 is all about this lesser-known but incredibly badass Greek hero, Diomedes. So Diomedes is tearing through the Trojan army, you know, like you do, when Athena notices that two gods she particularly dislikes, Aphrodite and Ares, happen to be interfering with the battle. So she pops down to Diomedes like, "Hey, so I've given you magic eyeballs. Now you can tell who's secretly a god and who's not. And let me be clear about this. Do not fight the gods. You will..."
They told a guy whose entire culture is the most badass thing you could do is dying in the most glorious way possible. Direct combat with a god would be the most glorious way possible. She's literally just having this guy commit the most epic suicide ever.
You'll lose. Unless it's Aphrodite, then fight all you want. She's somewhere between marshmallow fluff and a baby chick in terms of battle.
I mean... I remember the video Red did on Aphrodite where it's like, yeah, she's a baby chicken. It's like, yeah, it's nice. Also, she literally was the previous interpretations of her were a literal war god of insanity who will go in and fuck your shit up. Because they still have those records of her from where the god was initially interpreted from Isis and then Isis, the goddess in Egypt and various other ones. I think, Ishtar, which were war gods, and previous ones prior to that, then interpreted into the Greek Isles. There was like a small island near, I think, I cannot remember the name of it because I don't remember Greek names in general, mostly because I don't remember names in general. Well, let's pretend it's because they're foreign names, not just because I can't do names. And just so much history about her, so it's like, hey, I would love to see extra commentary just on this part right here. Because out of all of them, Aphrodite is probably the more terrifying war god than Ares. Ares is crazy berserker, where Aphrodite would be the... if that version of her was used, and considering this time frame that might be the case, would be the, oh, fuck levels of insanity that you don't want to fight because they will fuck you up. Multiple ways, and all of them will be painful the next morning. Or dead.
So Diomedes acknowledges and continues to tear his way through the army when suddenly he sees Aphrodite doing her thing and lifting one of her injured dudes off the battlefield. Diomedes is like, "None of that," and chucks a spear through her wrist. So she's like, "Ow!" and drops the dude in question
actually
and
injured a
moves back
god?
to Olympus,
He did?
whining incessantly. Meanwhile, back at the front, Apollo grabs the dude Aphrodite was trying to save. His name is Aeneas, by the way. He's got his own book or something. I don't know.
Meanwhile, in a shorter book. It was shorter? Really? Actually, I have no idea how long it is. So, random Aeneas saved. Or no. Dropped by a god, which would be his mother in the other book.
And Diomedes immediately tries to stab him. Apollo's like, "Step off, kid. Some of us gods are a little sturdier than Aphrodite." And Diomedes does the smart thing and backs off. And then...
Wait, they're allowed to be smart? Every single hero, other than Odysseus, is some level of stupid. Like this guy hurting a god and then trying to do it again.
And Ares shows up. Yay!
What
so
happens?
Athena's like, Diomedes, why aren't you hitting him? And he's like, because you told me not to? And she's like, forget what I said, kid. You're the best. Hooray!
Oh
and
my
then
God.
Diomedes stabs Ares in the gut, which video game logic tells me must make him the new god of war. So Ares runs home to Zeus
Wait, it
crying,
worked?
and Zeus is like, man up,
It
you
worked?
gigantic disappointment. So now Ares hurts on the outside and the inside. Book 6 is pretty boring.
Wait, it worked? Every single story of Greek anything, Roman anything is, and then they said something about the gods, and then they saw what happens, and it was bad. Or you win temporarily, and then it's bad. Or you failed immediately, and then it's bad. And this guy's like, hey, I'm gonna shoot a god. It worked. I tried to shoot a god. He let me walk away. I stabbed the god of war in the chest, and I got to walk away because apparently I won that round. We have an entire thing about how all of these heroes are so intense and so crazy. There's just this random guy who goes around beating gods. Why is that a thing I'm only hearing about now? Oh yeah, I saw even random gods there. He literally kicks the god of war's butt and they just flee. Does it come up later that he just randomly dies? You know, I was talking about how there's probably some things added to the novel because it was oral tradition. This very much sounds like, hey, you know, it'd be really awesome if we had someone who could fight gods. Not be overconfident, but still a little overconfident. And maybe they need to be talked into doing the stupid, but then it works. It does sound like something would be added in later. This is basically the Trojan War version of Lancelot, isn't it? Yeah, probably.
Boring. Someone tells Hector to tell the women of Troy to pray to Athena to stop Diomedes from single-handedly killing every single one of them. So he does, and they do, but she doesn't, and he continues
No,
to be awesome.
nope.
Book 7 is a little more interesting. Apollo's like, hey Athena, you know what would be cool? If your chosen hero didn't end the war in one day. That'd be cool, right? And Athena's like, you make an excellent point. Let's
And he
stop
dies?
the war and make Hector fight someone. So they pause the war again. You know, I really don't think it should be that easy. And the various Greek heroes we actually care about hold an impromptu lottery to see who gets to fight Hector. Great Ajax, not to be confused with lesser Ajax, wins the lottery and he and Hector duke it out until nightfall, at which point they both call it a day and go home. So book 8 is called The Tide of Battle Turns, and that's basically what happens. The Greeks start losing and the Trojans start winning. Now it's time for book 9. So Agamemnon's like,
Did they
damn
tie
it,
it
it's
again?
almost like we're missing our strongest fighter and the gods are working against us. What do you know?
I mean, yeah, but also Athena was kind of helping out a lot.
So Agamemnon's like, I vote we run away. Who wants to run away? And Diomedes is like, you've got to be kidding me. You
Yeah.
called us cowards and now you want us to cut and run? God, this guy is so cool. So Agamemnon's like, no.
How
What
does he die
What I
horribly?
meant to say was, who wants to go talk to Achilles and get him to fight with us again? So he sends Ajax and Odysseus to talk to
I'm sorry. She even gave him the colored eyes as well, which almost no one else but the gods have. How have I never heard of Diomedes, though? Also, do they really need their strongest warrior? Because I'm pretty sure Diomedes is still fighting.
Achilles, who's still burritoed up in his tent with Patroclus.
Friends.
So Ajax and Odysseus are like, yo, Agamemnon's willing to give you your girlfriend back, along with a ridiculous amount of wealth and a few kingdoms if you get out there and help us fight. And Achilles is like, no.
I mean, to be fair, anything Agamemnon promises is null and void because he gonna die like a bitch. Admittedly, the best way for him to die.
He's a jerk. In fact, I sail home tomorrow unless something really tragic and unnecessary happens to make me stay and fight. Hey, if it isn't my best buddy Patroclus. I don't know what I'd do if this guy died. That, folks, is what we in the writing biz call foreshadowing. Book 10 is basically a Metal Gear Solid mission. Not even
What?
kidding. So
Seriously?
it's night, and Agamemnon and Menelaus gather some main characters and are like, okay, do we have some volunteers to infiltrate the Trojan camp and find out their plans? And Diomedes is like, well, I did just finish carving a bloody canyon through the Trojan forces, so
I mean, I'm pretty sure their plans are just screaming the word "ah," followed by apparently winning right now. So
sure, I'm game. And Odysseus is like, you'll want me as well. I have actual cognitive faculties, quite rare among this army. So
I mean, it's not just they put him in a box. I'm sorry, I know it's supposed to be an obvious joke. They've dressed up Snake they've dressed up Odysseus. I actually forgot which one it was for a second. In every single time they've been animated anywhere as Snake. And the fact that they actually pulled up the box is just better.
Odysseus, the only sneaky guy in the entire Greek army, gets partnered up with my man Diomedes for a stealth mission. That's right, this epic officially has everything now. But at the same time, in the Trojan camp, Hector has the same idea, and sends a much less important character to scout the Greek ships. Predictably enough, the two...
Oh, I guess it's an old enough video that the audio just get fixed or something. Oh, she probably had some music in the background that was copyright claimed, and YouTube's music removal tool is not very good. Admittedly, this is actually better than it's done most of the time.
Stealth teams encounter each other, and Diomedes and Odysseus capture and interrogate the poor guy. He's
Yep.
like, I'll tell you everything! And Odysseus is like, fall in. And then they decapitate him. Using the information Odysseus extracted from him, they...
What? Wait, what did that say? What information? You just cut off his bloody head. War has changed. Considering I have no idea what the standard war looked like at this time, for all I know, I might have.
From
Not even
him,
a
they
joke.
sneak into the Trojan camp and steal an extremely fancy chariot and some armor from a king.
Ooh, yay!
Excellent, Snake.
Now it's time for Book 11. The sun rises and it's back to war we go.
Rise
so
and
today
shine.
is Agamemnon's time to shine. And while he's busy kicking ass and taking...
Ah, you call that a rain of blood? My flesh, I'll show you a rain of blood. What did it do to deserve this? You woke up and you didn't succeed in killing Agamemnon. Usually that's a problem you should try and fix.
names, some minor hero that Achilles is fond of gets wounded. So Achilles is like, hey Patroclus, can you go out there and ask Nestor who that was? I need to make sure before I start feeling sad. So Patroclus does, and Nestor's like, hey, so it sure is nice of Achilles to feel bad when his friends start getting hurt. But, it'd be even better if, he helped out so that didn't happen. So
Nope,
can you
not gonna happen.
talk with him about that? And Patroclus is like, I only promise to try. Book 12, the war continues. Zeus smacks the Greeks with a thunderstorm, allowing the Trojans to start beating them. Man,
Stupid Zeus. I mean, at the same time, this is less fuckery than he usually gets into. Usually it's more literal.
divine intervention is such a hack. So this pushes the Greeks all the way back to the ships. And in Book 13, Poseidon gets a little sick of Zeus hogging the show, so he...
Wait, is it? Ooh, oh. Also, if you can hear the audio thing, that's why I don't use anything about the audio removal tool. It fucks up the audio and leaves it that way.
pushes the Greeks all the way back to the ships. And in Book 13, Poseidon gets a little...
Yeah, that's right. I'm in this story too. God. He looks very different here. It's like still the fishy or still the same coloration. But the armor looks just more like armor here, where sometimes later it almost looks like scales.
sick of Zeus hogging the show, so he
Wait, you wouldn't know from the first 10 books, though. How many books are in this
show,
anyways?
so he drops by to give the Greeks a little help by
Goosh.
buffing the two Ajaxes with some stat boosts. So then the Greeks
Oh, there's actually little Ajax on top of him, yeah. And they're just going, nope, 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 nope.
start winning. In Book 14, Hera uses her feminine wiles to distract Zeus from his efforts to buff the Trojans and depower
I am not a distraction. Yay!
the Greeks, so the Greek army continues to win. In Book 15, Zeus wakes up after being thoroughly wiled by Hera and gets mega pissed to see that his favored side is now losing. Ares
Yeah.
is like, hey, I think one of my kids down there just died. This looks like a lovely excuse for war. And Athena dope slaps the armor off him like, idiot, Zeus is already mad enough. If you remind him of how much of a failure you are, he'll get even madder. And Ares is like, oh. So the tide of battle turns again.
Wow, she just shits on Ares all the time. Did she do an Ares video? Because I would actually love to see her specific take on him as a god. Or what he's probably taken from other gods if it's late enough.
And then the Trojans start winning. At this point, it's really become
Such drama.
formulaic. By the time Book 16 rolls around, Patroclus has gotten back to Achilles like, hey, dude, could I
Be a shame if I
maybe
died or
persuade
something.
you to go out and fight? Our guys are kind of getting destroyed. I mean, even Agamemnon is injured. And Achilles
And what is the downside? It's like, let's be completely fair here. Oh, I am slain is less of a problem and more of an active incentive. Also, they could probably just throw Diomedes at it, but I don't think he exists in this part of the story yet, so they probably added him in, and it just probably wouldn't be really working.
is like, ha, nice. And Patroclus
Yeah.
is like, seriously, Achilles, they're dying out there. They need our help. And Achilles is like, well, I really can't have them burn our ships. Tell you what,
That comes
you
later.
go out in my armor and lead my army. The Trojans will never know the difference between us. And Patroclus
Virtually identical. I know, there's no difference, man. She draws
is
them
like,
the same.
anything for you, man.
Oh my! I have no idea what Red could possibly be implying here.
And Achilles is like, just one thing. Promise
die.
me you'll come back alive.
She's getting the usage out of this.
And Patroclus is like, of course I will, bro. And
I'm sorry. It's just every time the dramatic stares at each other with even more petals.
not 5 minutes later,
Oh.
Hector kills him. Book 17 is pretty uneventful. The Greeks see Patroclus go down and collectively Hulk out to defend his body, and Hector takes Achilles' armor and wears it around. Book 18, the battle continues, although now it's centered around defending Patroclus' corpse. Meanwhile, Achilles is still burritoed up in his tent, having no idea that his bestie is currently dead. That is, until a messenger arrives bearing those very tidings, causing Achilles to similarly Hulk out. He's like, "That's it, time to single-handedly kick Troy's ass!" And his mom Thetis is like, "No, Achilles, you're fated to die if you fight." And he's like, "I couldn't save my hetero life partner, Mom. This life isn't worth living anymore." And then the rest of the chapter is devoted to...
Yep, I'm in this story too. He was... Is that Hephaestus? Wow, he looks very bushy.
Hephaestus making Achilles new duds.
Oh, what did that say? Of course, they only need me to forge new armor. Anything more would be too much to ask of this old, crippled, powerful god of fire. I'm assuming he's like missing a leg or something? I didn't know he was crippled. I thought he was just really ugly.
Duds. In book 19, Achilles puts on his new duds.
My god.
Yeah, this epic kind of drags on in places. In book 20, Achilles carves a bloody murder canyon through the Trojan forces despite various gods' best attempts to stop him. In book 21, Achilles fills a river with so many corpses that the river itself gets pissed and starts trying to drown him. So he beats...
He fought the river. Yeah. That is weird,
it up
man.
Until it stops bothering him. Then he gets distracted and starts chasing Apollo around the city because all the best heroes have ADD. Just ask any side-questing Skyrim.
And there we see the difference between him and Diomedes. Diomedes didn't succeed in chasing Apollo around. Achilles did.
Player. In book 22, Achilles finally remembers what he's there for, and after an extremely slapstick routine where he chases Hector around Troy several times, he finally kills him. Yay!
Whoa, weird audio.
Then he ties Hector's body to his chariot and rides it around Troy 3 times to parade the body off to Hector's father, the king. Yeah. Yay? And the rest of the book is, actually pretty boring. The Greeks hold Patroclus' funeral, during which they basically just play a lot...
Get back here! Your king demands that you let me win!
Of party games. And then at some point after the Iliad cuts off, but before they officially sack Troy, Achilles gets shot in the heel by Paris and dies. Yay!
That took too long. And way too many drawings. Oh, wow. Considering most of our average videos are all the drawings, and this counts as way too many. On the plus side, I can move my hands again. Okay, normally this is where I say something about what she just animated and the entire story of the Iliad, but frankly, I'm still stuck on the fact that this is probably the first video where she went all in on the drawing style that is the most biggest notable fact of the entire channel. And it's so cool to see, especially that other one at the end. It's like, wow, I can move my hand again. That's way too many drawings. Followed by every single other video after this, where it's nothing but animations. Hell, even for the video she doesn't do in that blue makes up, and apparently other people I've never even dealt with before, she puts in little animations to use because there's just all the drawing in there. If this hurt her hand, I'm just thinking this is probably like when I did my very first video ever, and I was like, hey, I talked for 5 minutes. My voice hurts. Why am I doing it? Oh God, why? That's big. Yeah, it's out on the internet still. I'm not telling anyone where to find it because that would be embarrassing. It was bad. But this is so cool just seeing how the style has changed so much from the very first animations or just drawings ever, and how the god drawings that are so much a main style piece. They're so similar, and you can see some of them very much stay the same. Hera is almost identical, but then there's others who are just so minimal in detail that they changed massively, and I love this. It is kind of cool to see the Iliad, though, to see this coverage and to see how she initially did everything. Because I've already seen what she did with the Trojan War video. I've seen what she did with the Odyssey and the Aeneid and all the references she made in it. So I kind of felt like I had seen this already. But feeling like I had seen it already and actually seeing it already were very different. And I like it. I can see where this went. I see it so much older. But this is such a cool time capsule to show how things have changed. And I love it. That said, I also have no idea what to check out next from them. They have so many new things that come out, so many diatribes, so many blue videos I need to double check on regardless. And I don't know what. So if you know what I should check out from OSP next, let me know. There's just too much. I have information overload on this and I don't know what to choose. So if you have an idea, let me know. Thanks. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.